All right, let's continue then on this conversation. We're now joined here in studio by SABC's news reporter, Katlego Legodi, who's been following this for us. A very good afternoon to you, Katlego. All right, you've been following this story for us. Of course, we heard the president addressing the Women Economic Assembly then today, the second Women Economic Assembly held under the theme Unlocking Gender Responsive Value Chains for a Resilient Economy. A mouthful there, but what essentially does this mean, and how was this particular theme handled?
Well, this means, Flo, that there's still a gap where women are concerned within the economy. We are told that in the second quarter of the year, about 47% of women were not active where the economy is concerned. So we saw the president just coming through in 2021 already to say that there's a need for a plan where this is concerned. And this is where also they're taking into consideration the economy that has not done well for quite some time. So they're saying there's a potential in women. Women have really been they're bearing the brunt. They've really been bearing the brunt in terms of an economy that has not been doing well. So there are events like this, the Women Economic Assembly, that were structured by the presidency in response to the issues and the challenges that women have faced for quite some time. And we know very well that the economy is associated with issues of gender-based violence. So we saw this as pillar number 5, where the National Strategic Plan is concerned to deal specifically with issues of gender-based violence. So we see the presidency and the women in the presidency, the ministry, just trying to lead this to ensure that women are strategically placed, within positions of the economy, and they drive the economy. So they're saying that there's still a lot to be done where women are concerned, and this is one of those events where multi-stakeholders gathered there in Pretoria for 2 days at DIRCO, seeing a lot of activities as well in terms of the ministers that were present there at the event, just kind of signaling to you that really the issue of the economy is something that government is inundated with. You can just imagine that we're coming from the backdrop of COVID-19 that has done a lot of damage where the economy is concerned, and this event coming through as a solution really to try and drive the economy. And they're saying that for the longest of time, women have been left behind, and we know very well that women are innovators, that we know very well that women are very strong in terms of just coming up with ideas. Some even giving an example to say there are a lot of single mother household, and we see mothers just raising their children alone, through a difficult economy. They were talking about the informal sector as well. They stand selling magwinya, and all of that, to say that we need to look into that, tap into that space, and just bring them on board. But the president today just giving an address really on behalf of government, saying that there's still a lot to be done in pushing for entrepreneurship of women.
So what's very problematic is the word potential that's used to describe a woman. I mean, I was just talking now about the JSC interviews, and again, the word about potential is put up, and a lot of time we're talking about women that are already there. It's just the issue of giving women opportunities is not about potential. They are already there. But in any case, I digress. When these women do indeed get opportunities, and I heard the president addressing this quite a bit too, was the issue of gender pay gaps, where you and I will have different pay, but we're working at the same time on the same job, but where women are still paid less in the certain industries, that's been an issue that's been spoken about a lot. But was it addressed adequately? I mean, I heard the president talking about it, but were there role players present there who can certainly make those kinds of changes and make those kinds of differences for women in the various industries and workplaces, where indeed they even give them the opportunities to begin with?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, this is a multi-stakeholder event, and a challenge put to the employers and the private sector and government by the president today to say that we need to address this issue. It's an elephant in the room. We're seeing a lot of women that are still in the receiving end where this is concerned, to say that it's a challenge to government. And this year they were taking stock of the pledges from last year, and you can imagine that this year then there are new pledges that were made, where next year we'll be taking stock of those pledges. And one of those things that the president was emphasizing on, to say that as the private sector and as government role players in this space, we need to make a pledge of some sort so that we are held accountable next year when we meet again. So last year about 2 billion rand in pledges were made, to this process. And the president just finding out from those that are there and those that raised their hands to say that we are here, we are available to provide opportunities and to, ensure that women are strategically placed. What have you done? And just a resounding, word from even the leaders of the Women Economic Assembly to say that really there's been a move where this is concerned. We've seen an impact where this process is concerned. There's a need, for more people to take the role of women serious in really just reconstructing and emancipating the economy. And this coming through as well, Flo.
I know I'm being told to wrap up, but I just want to ask very quickly, when we're talking about those role players who were present, who are we talking about? Because the president did say that the assembly was indeed convened to explore collaborative partnerships. I want to know about those partnerships. When we're talking about partnerships, who was there, who will be indeed put forward to implement those things? I mean, you speak about employers, the private sector, government, but who was there to hear the message and indeed will be able forward to implement it? I mean, obviously we're tired of talk shops.
I mean, we had captains of the industry there, most of them from the private sector. We saw the JSC coming through as well. The JSE, pardon me, coming through as well. We saw Nedbank today even making a pledge to say that next year we're going to come through and just fund this whole process to ensure that more women are accepted and there's an exchange of ideas. The United Nations was there. There was an issue of even exploring efforts outside of the African continent through the African trade agreement that is underway to say that all role players here will need to make sure. And the president even saying that we need to look at companies like Massmart was there today giving a feedback in terms of what they've done, just giving an announcement to say that they've moved up in terms of the gender, dynamics within the company. But the president just saying that it needs to even move to managerial positions where we're seeing women being strategically placed there, but not just, below in terms of, a post and all of those things. But he was saying that we need to be strategic about how we present women, because really the future is in women, and the economy, really for it to survive, it will need everyone, all hands on deck. But we need to right now ensure that we put women at the pedestal. We ensure that there's entrepreneurship here, because they're still saying that for the longest of time, women have been left behind. And really, there's a need right here to capitalize on the fact that there's women empowerment, and the economy is in need of, reconstruction, is in need of transformation, and the women can be placed in the center of that.
All right, thanks very much for that in-depth reporting there by Katlego Legodi, who was covering the Women Economic Assembly for us, which of course the president addressed today.